Welcome! Today we're making a delicious and classic Korean dish, beef bulgogi. This dish is all about thinly sliced beef marinated in a flavorful blend of soy sauce, garlic, sesame oil, and a hint of sweetness from Asian pear. We'll cook it up quickly, so each bite has that perfect balance of tender and juicy with a little bit of char. Get ready to dive into the steps, learn some tips for the perfect bulgogi, and create a dish that's packed with rich, savory, sweet flavors. Let's get started. All right, let's get our ingredients ready for some delicious beef bulgogi. First, grab about a pound of thinly sliced ribeye or sirloin beef. Then you'll need a small yellow onion, sliced thin, half a carrot cut into thin strips, and 3 green onions, chopped up. For our marinade, get 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of sugar, a tablespoon of honey, a tablespoon of mirin, and another of sesame oil. Add 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, 1 tablespoon of grated ginger, and about 1/4 of an Asian pear or apple, grated for sweetness and tenderness. To season, you'll need a half teaspoon of black pepper and, if you want a little heat, a tablespoon of gochujang or half a teaspoon of gochugaru. Lastly, have a bit of sesame oil and sesame seeds on hand for finishing. All right, let's start cooking. First, let's prep our beef. Start with about a pound of ribeye or sirloin and slice it as thinly as possible. Think around 1/8 of an inch or thinner. The easiest way to get really thin slices is to pop the beef in the freezer for about an hour before you slice. It'll be much easier to work with. Once you have your thin slices, set them aside. Thin slices are key to fast, even cooking and that great bulgogi texture. Next up, let's mix our marinade. In a bowl, add 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of sugar, a tablespoon of honey, and a tablespoon of mirin. Then add a tablespoon of sesame oil to give that rich flavor, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, and a tablespoon of minced ginger for some nice aroma. Now here's a bulgogi secret. Add 1/4 of a grated Asian pear or apple. This makes the meat extra tender and sweet. Finish off with half a teaspoon of black pepper, and for a little heat, you can add a tablespoon of gochujang or half a teaspoon of gochugaru. Give everything a good stir. Now it's time to marinate. Add your sliced beef to the bowl with the marinade and mix it thoroughly. We want every piece to be nicely coated with that flavorful marinade. Once it's all mixed, cover the bowl and let it sit. 30 minutes is the minimum, but for the best flavor, let it marinate for about 2 to 4 hours in the fridge. This way the meat really absorbs the flavors and tenderizes beautifully. While the beef is marinating, let's prepare our vegetables. You'll need 1 small yellow onion sliced thinly, half a carrot julienne, and 3 green onions chopped up. These add great texture and a burst of color to the dish. Once the vegetables are ready, set them aside. We'll add them to the beef just before cooking. Having all your ingredients prepped and ready makes cooking a lot easier, especially with dishes that cook quickly like bulgogi. All right, our beef is marinated, and it's time to cook. Heat a large skillet or grill pan over medium-high heat. Add a tiny drizzle of oil just to prevent sticking. When it's nice and hot, add the marinated beef along with the onion, carrot, and green onions. Spread everything out evenly and try not to overcrowd the pan. We want a bit of caramelization, so you might need to cook in batches. Sauté for about 3 to 5 minutes, just until the beef is cooked through and starts to caramelize. Watch closely. With thin slices, this happens fast. Now that our beef is perfectly cooked, let's plate it up. Transfer your bulgogi to a serving dish, and while it's still hot, drizzle a little sesame oil over it for extra flavor. Finally, sprinkle some sesame seeds on top for garnish. Bulgogi is perfect with steamed rice, lettuce wraps, and a bit of kimchi on the side. And there you have it, beautiful, juicy beef bulgogi ready to enjoy. Lastly, here are some quick tips for making the best beef bulgogi. Tip 1. Choosing the right beef. Ribeye is the traditional choice because of its nice marbling, which keeps the meat tender and juicy. If ribeye isn't available, sirloin or even tenderloin work really well too. Just remember, the higher the fat content, the better the flavor and tenderness. Tip 2. Slicing thinly. The thinner the slices, the better. Aim for about 1/8 of an inch. Freezing the beef for about an hour before slicing makes it easier to cut thinly. This will help each piece cook quickly and evenly, which is key for bulgogi's texture. Tip 3. Marinating time. The grated Asian pear or apple in the marinade isn't just for sweetness. It contains enzymes that help tenderize the meat. So, if you have time, let the beef marinate for a few hours, ideally 2 to 4. This gives the beef time to really soak up those flavors. Tip 4. Cooking in batches. Avoid overcrowding the pan. Spread the meat out in a single layer to let it sear and caramelize instead of steaming. If necessary, cook in batches. This will give your bulgogi that slight char and depth of flavor. Tip 5. Adjust to your taste. Lastly, bulgogi is versatile. If you like it sweeter, add a touch more sugar or honey. For extra spice, a little more gochujang or gochugaru works great. With these tips, you're set for a delicious beef bulgogi. Enjoy your homemade beef bulgogi.